Okay, so I think we're live. Welcome to the Empire Builders Masterclass. I am Honoree Quarter. I help professionals and entrepreneurs to write, publish, and monetize their books. And Lucas Marino is my absent partner, and he helps professionals to monetize their books with a course. With his book, Monetize Your Book with a Course, and his course, Monetize Your Book with a Course. But I'm about to spontaneously combust because I have one of my very favorite people of all time on the show today. Ali, welcome to the Empire Builders Masterclass.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you back. Thank you for co-hosting and being the interviewee and all the things.
Always glad to be on anything with you, Honoree.
Well,
it is my pleasure.
My check is in the mail, made out to Make-A-Wish. I know. Yep. This isn't my first day. It might be my second day, but it's not my first day. How are you? What's new and exciting?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, life is going great. Got a keynote booked in about 3 weeks in Mexico, and moving and shaking like everybody else.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna go pro. I know my daughter is gonna be watching and be like, where is your microphone?
That's not a small one, Larry King.
Did you see how I pulled it from the sky?
Yeah.
The benefits of being married to someone who, among his many magical talents, is being a well, let you know when we're live, Lucas, right now. There we go. I guess he wants to watch. So it's not enough for him to leave me out here all alone, but also with that. So my husband has, among many magical talents, he is an audio engineer. And so he's trying to save me from myself and not just use the computer.
We may need to use him in the future for his talents for us as well.
All right. Well, you can,
I'll barter with him.
You could barter. Perfect. Yes. You know what he wants? He wants a protection dog.
That's
no, I know. I'm just saying, if you just, what's the thing? You start high.
Yeah.
you go high with the ask.
And he ends up with the Chihuahua, right?
Right. A snack dog. Yes. Which is what I have a 70-pound dog and an 80-pound dog, and they both think that they are 8-pound Chihuahuas. They just get in my lap.
Well, sometimes I go get it in their lap. They don't like that much, though.
They don't like that much. I thought you were going to chide me for letting my dogs get in my lap on the couch.
No, being in your lap is okay, Honoree. It's your bed that you shouldn't have the dogs in.
I shouldn't have the dogs in the bed. Okay. Right. I think this ship is
fine. I know. I gave up on you. It's okay. You're just a compassionate human that loves your animals, which is okay. But that's why people like me are in business, right? Because we can fix all that kind of stuff.
You can fix it. You could fix a 5-year-old spoiled dog. You could turn my 5-year-old spoiled dog into an obedient, I was going to say attack dog. We don't want her to attack anyone, but like obedient, sleeping on the floor.
We can do anything you'd like with money. So okay. Possibilities are endless.
How much do you have? I wasn't even thinking about the cost yet. I was just thinking about how do you take a dog that has been spoiled mercilessly her entire life and unprogram her, right? You have to reprogram the dog. To give her a new master and wipe her memory.
that part's easy. It's when you guys show up for your class, bringing out that Men in Black wand, putting it in front of your face, erasing your memory, and starting all over again. That's the more difficult part.
It's the humans that are the hard part. Then is what you're saying.
The habits that we got to break, and some people are reluctant to break.
Yeah. All right.
But all it takes is discipline.
Oh, wow. I like it. Well, so what Ali is talking about is this fantastic book that has the very image of discipline on the front. Your dog.
That's right. Cliff.
Cliff. Tell us about Cliff.
That's right. Cliff is a 3.5-year-old German Shepherd that I bought I brought back from Germany last year. Great with children, great as a companion dog for the house, but an intruder's nightmare if they decide to come close.
Hmm.
And so, people talk about having a dog like that, and they have a dog that may look like Cliff, but the genetic ability of a dog like Cliff, complemented with training to be able to handle those stressors and feats, is very
Hmm.
different. And so, not every dog can handle an assault rifle, being fired while they're in a down position right next to you. Most dogs, in fact, would probably bolt.
Sure.
The dogs like Cliff are genetically predisposed for that, and then we take that genetic and we complement it with training, and that way they can be very reliable in the time of need.
Wow. I have not met Cliff when I have been at your house. Is he hidden?
Well, we got to keep them away from strangers, right? We don't want an
So,
accident.
so you don't familiarize him with anyone other than your family then?
Frequent flyers we do, like, grandma, grandpa, aunts
Okay.
and uncles, things like that.
Got it.
But generally, we host a lot at our house, and we just don't want to take on the risk of somebody accidentally getting engaged by the dog when the dog's just doing their job.
Got it.
It's like leaving a loaded gun on a coffee table. You wouldn't do that when you're entertaining guests. So
Right.
Cliff is cool. He's great with my kids. He's great with other dogs. And he really is an exceptional animal, but I don't want to put him in a position to fail.
Right. Understood. And so then more questions about Cliff, and then we're going to change back to the book. Do you have to then train him every day? Is training with him an ongoing? You have to spend a certain amount of time with him?
I think sometimes people look at it that way, but eventually becomes habitual. And so training can be as simple as having them sit before you grant him passageway access through a door, having him lay down before you put his food down. That's more of the ongoing training that you do on a daily life of a protection dog. And of course, monthly we'll get him out, we'll do some protection work where he takes bites and things like that. But the day to day is pretty easy, playing ball with them at the park and stuff like that, which is really fun.
That is so cool. We'll have to have another conversation just about protection dogs and why people have them and all of those sorts of things. But I want to talk about discipline, which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite topics, actually. So when you wanted to talk about discipline in your book, I was really excited to get your perspective, because for anyone who does not know you, I'm just going to acquaint people with your book and give them an overview of you.
Yeah.
So you're the author of this book, Discipline. On the back, we have you standing next to an airplane. Whose airplane is it?
Mine.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are some people who are, quote, totally successful, right? Air quotes. And they will go stand in front of an airplane and take a picture and then pretend like it's their airplane, but it's actually your airplane.
Those are charlatans.
Right.
So.
And you are going to stick Cliff on them.
I'm an aviator. I fly helicopters and airplanes.
Yeah.
The purpose of the airplane originally was to transport dogs that we purchased, the working dogs that we purchased from Europe, back into Nashville's airport, which is, while it's an international airport, it's somewhat limited in that the bigger airlines like Air France, KLM, Lufthansa aren't flying in and out of the airport. So there's always a connection to a Charlotte, a New York City, a Detroit, Atlanta, areas like that, where after a long journey and bringing back 5 dogs, it's hard to load them up in a cargo van and drive them all the way back from a New York City when you're already exhausted and jet lagged from a long trip to Europe.
Yeah.
So we fly up our plane, we load up the dogs on the plane, we bring them back. That was the original intention. And in the downtime when we're not using it, we have it on air charter. And so we have a fleet of 13 airplanes, anywhere from a Hawker 400 all the way up to a Gulfstream 5. And, falls right into that fleet where when we're not using it, it's at least making money or offsetting the cost of having it.
I love that. I love how you're one of the first things I remembered you saying to me was that, and I'm going to paraphrase so you can correct me, but something about you did dog training and then you realized that the people who were purchasing the dog training had other needs. And that's how some of your other businesses came to be. So back to the book for a second. When someone gets this book, I want you to notice that there are 10 logos on this page. So while Ali made mention of charlatans, you are certainly not one. You are an authentic and very successful professional entrepreneur. And the thing that and we're going to talk about these different ideas from the book, the thing that has always struck me the most about you is that you recommend people are responsive. That's one of your pillars of success, is for someone to be responsive. And you are always very responsive. I don't think if I've messaged you about something, whether it was fun or work, whatever, somewhere in between, that I waited very long for a response, which is surprising because there are some people who have one business and they can't return an email in 3 years, let alone in 3 minutes. So I would love for you to talk about that pillar of being responsive and how do you manage that, and how you would recommend someone who is less successful, which is almost everyone, to manage that skill.
Well, I would say the same about you, Honoree. Anytime I need anything, you are very responsive in email, phone call, text message, whatever it may be. We live in a different era nowadays where connectivity follows us everywhere. And so the days of the 50s and 60s where you can just turn off once you get home from work and allow yourself to be free is very difficult nowadays. I mean, shoot, my home phone, when it rings, it populates on my TV screen. There's like no way of getting around stuff sometimes. And so as a conscious effort for somebody to be responsive back, it proves that you care genuinely. And I think that it ties into the second pillar, which is to be reliable and honest too. But the reliability and the responsivity are one and the same. And so do you want to do business with somebody who's responsive, or somebody who's going to get back to you at their convenience? It's one of the things that frustrate me, and I wrote about it in the book, was when you get somebody's voicemail and they say, I will call you back at my earliest convenience. Well, what does that mean to the end user? It's so disrespectful and rude. Like, you're of no value to me. Whenever it's convenient for me, I'll reach back out to you. And I think that is one of the big things that people need to change. The other thing about being responsive is if you're not responsive, you miss opportunity.
Right.
Which is a big thing for entrepreneurs and business owners, is sometimes that knock on the door is right then. And it's not 3 hours from now, 3 days from now, 3 months from now. Right. And so the early bird gets the worm. Be responsive so you can accept that opportunity when God's sending it your way.
Well, so let's do the counter argument for just a second. At what point do you not respond? When are you not available to respond? When are you either letting the messages pile up because you're spending time with family and friends and on vacation and things like that? How do you strike a balance, or do you?
I think I have a hard stop at 2 p.m. every day. But, once the kids go down for bed, it's the end of the evening, I don't mind jumping back on the computer and sending out some emails or typing a quick text. And there's these moments that you have throughout your life where there are dead times where you can be responsive by text or by phone call. It's your priority. But that's an earned avenue. That is not a chapter 1 or chapter 2 of your entrepreneurial career to be able to do that. When you're beginning, you don't have that luxury to not be responsive. When you've earned and paid your dues and you have your business humming, then you have the opportunity to, pick and choose when you're going to be responsive.
Right.
But overall, being responsive is a habit. So, Honoree texting me at 4 or 5 p.m.'s likely going to get a phone call or text right back pretty quickly, within 5 to 10 minutes at minimum. But, everybody else, it may not be as responsive then, but it would be around 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Right. Understood. All right. So let's go into pillar 3 then, which is work harder than anyone else you know. And I would add maybe smarter. Right. You got to work hard and smart.
They go together. I think that there's this new push where you can just work smart and not hard. Doesn't work. No. Hard work will always beat talent when talent's not working hard.
1,000,000%.
Right. And so what does that mean? It means optimizing your day to give the maximum output that you're able to, which is the smart side of you, right? Yeah. And then being able to do that for the hours required to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And the key part of that is whatever it takes. So,
right.
I bought a vehicle. It's at the one of those places where they do paint protection film. The vehicle is supposed to be back to me this past Monday. It's Thursday. Receive a phone call yesterday evening saying, listen, it's not going to be ready until Friday at 2 o'clock. We could maybe have it to you a little bit sooner, but that would mean that we'd have to stay here till 2 or 3 in the morning to get the job done. I have a different mindset from that entrepreneur. I would have stayed till 2 or 3 in the morning to get the job done by this past Monday, because that's what I promised. Right. I'm not faulting that business owner. That's the way he runs his business. He's been successful. He has a backlog of vehicles to apply the paint protection film. However, I run my businesses a little bit differently. If I tell you something, I'm going to hit it. And so if that means that I'm going to wear myself out to get it done, I'm going to do that. And that part is kind of lost on the newer entrepreneurs nowadays, where they're entering I really want work-life balance, which is, to me, an impossibility when you're starting your journey as an entrepreneur. You need to focus more on work, and later you'll get the work-life balance.
Well, I wonder though I'm still waiting. I wonder when that is, because I'm with you. I try to do a couple of things to mitigate this situation that you're in right now for that entrepreneur, because I know you, and I would imagine there's a little shred of doubt now. Am I going to get anything else I do on time? Or do I have to mentally give myself extra time? When I'm promising something, I will say, here's how long it's going to take to do it, knowing I can do it faster, but just in case everything that can go wrong goes wrong, I'm still hitting the deadline. Probably might have been helpful in this situation for them to set the expectation that it could be next Monday, not last Monday, right?
Well, that is the dialogue I had with him on Tuesday when I showed up, when he had said, hey, sorry, Monday's Memorial Day. Tuesday, your vehicle should be ready. So I show up to see if the vehicle's ready, and it's not ready. And that was the conversation I had, was you set this expectation for me. I didn't guess at this expectation. This is when you told me it was going to be finished. I'm just going based on what you told me. So maybe in the future, you should tell people that it's going to be X date. The other thing I told him to be sensitive to was, in his business, what if that was my sole vehicle? My sole vehicle is being held hostage so they can complete their job that is now delayed. And, it's things to be sensitive to for the end user. It's not easy to drive 2 vehicles home, right? So you're taking a taxi or an Uber or Lyft to go pick up your vehicle, and they let you down by saying, hey, it's not ready yet. Well, why didn't you call me and tell me that, right? Why do you allow me to show up? And these are all the problems of when you're building a business, to work those things out. And I took it as a teaching opportunity to tell them, with mild frustration, but not yelling or anything like that, that he needs to elevate his business and change the way he thinks because he needs to consider the end user, which goes back into the being reliable and honest, which is the second
Right.
pillar of the book. And
Right.
then the third pillar, which you just asked me,
Right.
better start working harder. You know, one of his excuses was, well, it was Memorial Day. I don't give those excuses to clients. I mean, our facility, our dog training facility is open 365 days a year.
Right.
We're here during Christmas, we're here during New Year's, we're here during Thanksgiving. When everybody is enjoying family, the staff is here working, right? Just an excuse is an excuse. Go get the job done.
Right. Well, or get the job done and give yourself an abundant amount of time,
That's realistic.
right? Like I know I can do a book fast, but I can do a book fast and well, but also I don't promise that, right? It's only when someone says, "What's the absolute fastest you can do it?" I can say, "Well, if everything goes according to plan, we could do it this time, but let's give ourselves extra time because rushing causes mistakes."
Yeah, I think
And
some of
also,
it.
let's not fault him for taking off Memorial Day, right? We do want to take off a holiday, although I know you don't necessarily, you're not necessarily going
Well, I mean, he
to
had
do that.
Saturday and Sunday also, right? But he took
Right.
off the weekend as well. So he made
Sure.
himself a 3-day weekend. That's
Right.
not my issue. I think it all stems back to
The promise.
it's more than that. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, and I dealt with this, it just came to my mind many years ago, probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, when I had hired an electrician to rewire a house that I'd gutted and we were in the renovation process. What happens is the dollar signs are seen by the entrepreneur. So they take on the project,
Yeah.
but then because they don't want to miss the opportunity, but then they set an unreasonable expectation for the client because they don't want to miss that opportunity. And then they don't hit the deadline. So then the client's frustrated. So the electrician was the same. He took on our project, gave us a window of time that was like 90 days. And at the end, he wasn't anywhere close to being done because he was juggling 6 or 7 other projects. He was like a ping pong ball to all of them. Where
Right.
in order to finish the project and get codes approval, I just had to hire another electrician. So as an entrepreneur, you got to be mindful of those kind of things as well. Like, don't take on the opportunity if you can't handle it.
Right.
And if you can handle it, then set the expectation reasonably for the end user. I wouldn't have been mad if he said, this is going to take 2 weeks, which tomorrow makes almost 2 weeks. I would be okay with it if I knew in advance how long it was going to take. But
Right.
what I explained to this gentleman was, I made a reservation over a week in advance because I thought that was the time that you needed based on what you told me. I bring the vehicle in, your laborer tells me it's going to be 5 to 7 days, and now we're at almost 2 weeks. So just something to think about in your businesses.
Yes, about the promise, the customer experience, setting expectations. And I think there's a little bit of tempering that with the entrepreneur. You said seeing dollar signs, but also having a client that you want to please. And of course, everyone wants everything that they wanted that they're paying for yesterday. And so there is that desire to show up and do a really good job lickety split. And you have to temper that with reality and say, while I would love to do this, while I would love to complete your paint job in 48 hours so you can have your beautiful vehicle, to do it well and to make sure, I'm going to say 3 weeks. And so if you had been told 3 weeks and you were getting it on Friday after 2 weeks, you would be ecstatic instead of frustrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
So
it would have given me an opportunity to go and explore another option that might be able to complete it in a faster time.
Right.
But either way, it would be more fair, right? Because I'm now paying for a job that you can't just pull away from them. There's like, the car is essentially disassembled. So you can't go to them and be like, well, I don't care, give me my car back. It's going to take another 7 hours for them to reassemble everything. So you really are stuck. Again, this was a good growing moment for this gentleman as a young entrepreneur, but it's just something to keep in consideration in your own businesses.
Well, it's part of what you talk about in the book is that you were working nonstop initially when you had your first business, and you were cleaning the dogs and still working full time, and your wife was saying, go clean the dog kennels. Yeah. And you were it sounds like it was a really fun time for you.
No, I look back on it now as it was a necessity to teach me how to be an entrepreneur. It was a necessity to learn the whatever it takes attitude. At the time, it was unpleasant, but when you're working 18, 19-hour days, all 7 days a week for years,
I know,
because the voice in your head keeps telling you to push and push and push and push.
Yeah.
There were times that I remember the value of what revenues I was bringing in compared to the output of hours I was putting in. I was like averaging like $2 an hour.
Yes, always.
It was silly when you think about it in those moments, like, well, this is so hard, but what happens is you're setting yourself up for this trajectory. It's going, and then one day it's just going to take this big turn upward. You just can't give up until you get to that point. And
right. So I'm going to skip out of the pillars for a second, and because that reminds me of another great place in the book where you're talking about, and I almost titled the episode this, but I didn't, because it's embracing the suck, right? Get used to the suck. Mm-hmm. And I think some people are really adverse to anything that's painful, right? As opposed to recognizing that at even where you are today, I bet there are aspects of your day, your work that suck. Yes?
Of course. And that's why they call it work. Otherwise it'd be called fun, right?
Right.
But when you weigh up the scale, there's always a lot more good than there are tough.
Yes.
I don't want to say bad, just tough, right? And so that's the attitude that you have to have. There will be tough moments. There will be adversity. Yeah. The lotus flower blossoms on swamps amidst scum at the top of the swamp. And so when you think about the lotus flower, here's this beautiful flower with everything around it arguably ugly. And I think that people need the pain to understand that you have to embrace the suck. And embrace the suck really came from, when I was in SWAT school many, many years ago, a lot of the SWAT instructors there were former military. And it's a grueling school that takes a lot of mental fortitude, obviously some physical too, but more so brain than anything. And they would say, embrace the suck. And so you're starving, you're tired, you're pushing your body to physical limits because you're going to be the 911 for the police. And so that's where that really came about. It was more of a military term that we leveraged in the book, because people just have to know it's not always going to be smooth sailing. In fact, it's going to be rough seas, but smooth seas don't make a good sailor. The rough seas do.
Yeah. I don't know who says it. It doesn't come to mind who says it, but there is someone who says it doesn't get easier, you get better. Maybe it's Jim Rohn, who says it doesn't get easier to do push-ups, you get stronger. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier to hear no. You just learn that hearing no is part of the process, or try again. One of the things that I like to teach people is that once you recognize someone is a really good fit for your products or services, you follow up with them until one of four things happen. They die, they go out of business, they send you a cease and desist letter, or they say, you've got a deal, let's do it. And so, right? So basically, you just keep following up until they say yes. Or you decide they're not a good fit for you, or you're not a good fit for them. But if you know, I always say, if you know that you know that you know that you can help someone, do them the favor of continuing to follow up until they become a client or a customer, and be relentless in your service. Embrace following up. But I find, interestingly, and I know you have a perspective on this, it's not in the book, but I'd love to hear it, is that you want people to follow up with you. You want to know that they're really committed to being of service. You don't want someone who's just like, hey, you want to buy this thing? You're like, I don't know. Try your call again 74 more times. I would love to hear your perspective on it, because we've talked about it and other times.
Yeah, I would tell you that one of the industries that is notorious for is your insurance company, property and casualty insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, how many times is your local insurance agent reaching out to you and saying, hey, Honoree, how's your daughter? Let's go grab lunch. Happy birthday. Merry Christmas. Maybe you might get a Christmas card, maybe. But really, the time that you hear from insurance agents is when it's renewal time. So hey, you're up for renewal next month. 2 weeks before renewal, Agent Jones is going to call you, Honoree, how have you been? It's been such a long time. Just want to let you know, hey, your insurance is up for renewal. I know it's up a little bit. All rates are up a little bit. It's 24% higher. But listen, we're going to do the best we can for you, blah, blah, blah. They think it's an easy close. Boom. That's an industry that's notorious for it.
I was going to say, I have never gotten a Christmas birthday card. I've never been taken to lunch. No one asks me about my daughter. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
None of those have happened.
That's one of the issues of that industry. It's like, you can't, well, when you go back to the Dale Carnegie book of How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the things he says is be genuinely interested in that person. It's going to leave you with much more success and create a relationship for you.
Yes.
I had a commercial insurance agent that handled a lot of our things across different companies. And only time I heard from him was insurance renewal. The guy's in Bowling Green. And finally, one day I kind of called him out on it. I was like, I don't want to do business with you anymore. If it's all the same, and I can go to any other agent and get basically the same rate, why am I dealing with you? For 6 years, he had not made the trip from Bowling Green to Nashville, which is only like 45 minutes, to come say hi to me, see our facilities, see what we do. And I fired him. It probably was for better, because ultimately the next company I hired gave me a lower rate and has built a really good relationship with us. Now we even joined together to sponsor NASCAR and all these other kind of things. And so I think, going back to your question, it does fall back in the pillar side of the genuine gratitude, which was the next pillar.
Which is pillar 4, yes.
Pillar 4, but at the same time, the being responsive, being genuine with your people, and leading to pillar 6, which is building relationships, is part of that whole thing. And so it's important.
I think it would be interesting if there was a way to tell what the loss of premium was, just the loss of business, right? Just the bottom line of the premium, but then also the fact that you're a gateway to other things, right? So you just said you sponsor NASCAR, so that's led to other business. So there were other opportunities there if someone just takes a minute to not just see someone's wallet or American Express card, but to actually say, how are these things happening? What's going on? So let's talk about, because I want to talk about so many things. How many hours do we have? We have just 1 hour. Well, let's talk a little bit more about pillar 4, have genuine gratitude, and why that made it in there. Why is gratitude one of these 6 pillars when there could be so many?
I think that genuine gratitude was baked into our society I would say up until 2017, 2018. When the pandemic hit, you saw a lot of that falling off. Then it really didn't matter what industry that you were in, whether you were buying a car from a car dealership, the car dealers almost made you feel like you owe them gratitude for selling you a vehicle. So you're chasing them to give you money. We've experienced it multiple times with replacing commercial AC units, paving our facilities, driveways, and restriping. Like, in almost everything that we've done, it was like, you owe me a thanks for coming out here and doing this for you. Yet they forgot that we were providing them a means for their employees to have a livelihood.
Right.
And that is a significant impact in today's day and age. That, I mean, think of going to the restaurants during the pandemic, and the servers were so stressed out that, like, they didn't even really want to serve you. That trend has continued, and we need to reverse it, which is one of the reasons why I wrote it in the book, is be thankful that these people are spending money with you. That's affording your livelihood.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Yes. And thank you is one level. A thank you note is another level. A thoughtful gift or remembrance, or sometimes it's just a text. This reminded me of you. I just wanted to know you were out there. I think it is a force multiplier in terms of differentiation now, because you're right, it has gone missing, right? Gratitude has gone missing. And so it takes so little to show someone gratitude. It doesn't have to be a new paint job on your new car, right? It just has to be that on time, and then maybe a little something when you pick up the car, right? Or a note after the fact.
Even after that, 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, hey, thanks for putting up with us. I'm so sorry we delayed you, but I hope you really like the product.
Right. And then that's the last touch is very often the most remembered, right? The most recent touch or the most recent interaction is the thing that you remember, and you didn't have an interaction with your insurance agent to remember.
Well, imagine what gates that could have unlocked, to your earlier point.
Yeah.
And what opportunities were missed by that person, where if I had had such an amazing experience, they could come back and say, hey, Ali, who else do you know in these other industries that you can maybe connect me with that might need my help?
Right.
I mean, forget my 15 or 20% that they're making on my premium.
That's what I was going to say, is you're a gateway. You're a gateway to other business. Sometimes it's your idea. Sometimes it's the service provider's idea. But nevertheless, I would never want someone to say, well, how was that experience? Because you going, is all someone, right? It's like the mob, right? It's like, are you a friend of mine or a friend of ours? It's like you get the nod or you get the shake of the head. And sometimes people will come and say, what do you think about working with this person? And it doesn't take very much for anyone who has any type of profile to say, I think you could do better. Let me give you another recommendation. That is the last thing you want, because business is built on referral, which is talking about relationships, for sure.
Going back to pillar one, being responsive.
Yes.
I think one of the other things that people forget about with responsiveness is there needs to be urgency in getting jobs done. Don't leave a bunch of open channels. Right? Great entrepreneurs are very urgent to close out this channel, move to the next thing. And that leadership from top down trickles down to the employees too. Nobody wants an employee that just walks around moping and complaining and not doing work and telling everybody how they're underpaid. And, it goes back to the JFK speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It's the same thing when you're leading employees. Quit asking what your company can do for you. Ask more of what you can do for your company. The company will take care of you.
The company will take care of you. Yes, you will have all the work. You will have all the work forever and ever. So I don't want to skip over pillar 5, because I know your philanthropy is so important to you. So pillar 5 is take care of your community. And you talk about your volunteer work. You don't talk a lot about Make-A-Wish in here, but a little bit. And that's really where we started the show is, right? Me saying, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm ready. Tell us a little bit about why becoming successful is the kind of the ringing of the bell for turning around and taking care of the people that you can in your community, and why that's important for you.
I think it's your obligation as a successful person to give back to the community, to people that may not have had the same opportunities, may not have had the same drive or passion to do what you've done, may not have had the same fortitude to do whatever it takes. You can give back, and it doesn't always have to be serving soup in a soup kitchen, although that's a great way of doing it. I was a board member for Make-A-Wish for 6 years. I was their development chair. I felt like granting wishes to life-threatening children with life-threatening illnesses was very, very important. If we could bring their family 1 week of normalcy to send them to Hawaii or to Disney World, that was very impactful for me. And that is just one of the many philanthropies that we participate in, my wife and I participate in. But letting us use our network of clients and friendships and relationships to help steward the mission of Make-A-Wish enabled us to grant way more wishes than if we didn't participate. And people feel good about it. They like organizations that are nonprofit, successful nonprofits, where their mission is of benefit to people that steward the money appropriately too. I mean, our local Make-A-Wish branch, 82 cents on every dollar goes to granting wishes. That's a pretty high percentage. And so you should give back. And if you give back, the community in turn will take care of you. We donate 1 to 4 police dogs to different police departments every year. We do that at no charge to the police departments, often including their training as well. And that means that that's more drugs off the streets, more bad guys off the streets. The one we did last year, we did a therapy dog for the Williamson County Sheriff's Office to accompany a sergeant who's a deputy there to different schools as the school resource officer. And so the kids get to go love on Bolo. And if they're having a tough day from exams or learning or home life, they get to go love on a dog. Well, it became so successful that our state representative, Gino Bolso, ended up passing a law to roll out a pilot program to have this dog, called the Bolo Law in Tennessee, a dog like this in various parts of the state. I believe their initial rollout is going to be 6 different dogs to help these schools and help the kids and help the staff.
Where will the dogs come from?
We don't know that yet. I am hoping I'm a part of that. It would be amazing. Yeah. I didn't want it to be that tied to me as a conflict of interest. You know, I want to do it for the better good of the humanity. But it's a huge gain for the state of Tennessee to have dogs like that. We did an electronics detection dog, again, for the local sheriff's office here, where the dog is assigned to the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And so the way that Jared Fogle from Subway got popped was the exact same way. You know, they found media inside a camera bag that he was carrying that a dog alerted to that had pornographic images of children on it. And that's why he's in the pokey and hopefully forever. But we trained a dog at no charge to the citizens of Williamson County, Tennessee, to do the exact same thing here. And Remy has created cases all over Middle Tennessee, including for Metro Nashville, as a help to them too, mutual aid help. And so give back how you can give back. And I think that when the community sees all of that, they're going to pour back into you as well.
Right. Well, I think what was interesting and why I asked you, because I didn't know about where the dogs were coming from, is that there's a ripple effect. And sometimes the ripple effect is back to the giver. Sometimes there's a natural ripple effect, but ultimately you give without expectation of return, knowing that it's a law of the universe that as you give, you receive. Whatever you put out comes back to you multiplied. And so it doesn't always come back where you planted it, but it does come back. You're taken care of because you are taking care of, right?
Yeah, be a good human, be a good steward. God's given you opportunities that other people and talents other people may not have.
Yep.
Leverage it, use it to the maximum. You're
Right.
only here a short amount of time.
Yes.
So, and then be the model for your children, right?
Right.
That's what I wanted my kids to see. I want them to grow up the exact same way. Give back to your community, take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love pillar 6 because it is something that I strive to do, is to build relationships and to actually care about people and see people for as human beings as opposed to prospects or clients or anything like that. Because how do I know if I want to work with someone unless they're a good human, right?
That's right.
Well,
you're great at it, which is building relationships.
Yes.
And you're great at it. That's pillar 6.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So in pillar 6, you talk about asking questions, going back to your clients and just asking questions about them. And then, so I want you to talk a little about that if you wouldn't mind. And then my question to you is, you also say that relationships are the best marketing. So tie pillar 6 into marketing your business as an entrepreneur, because I think people forget that everything is based in relationships. How does anything happen? It's through a relationship.
Yeah. So Nashville Canine has a very, very minuscule advertising budget. I mean, I don't know, probably sub $1,000 a year. Yet we're the largest training facility in the state of Tennessee, training between 300 to 1,000 dogs a year.
Right.
We don't spend money on Google AdWords. We don't do social media ads. We don't do any of that. We build relationships and we scratch each other's back. And so we have partnerships with Ferrari of Nashville, Mercedes-Benz of Music City, um, everything, even to like veterinarians across the mid-state. Marcraft Cabinets, the cabinet company that builds cabinets, they're one of our relationships. And so, when you're intentional about building that friendship with somebody else, and they know that you're going to be responsive, that you're going to be reliable and honest, that you're a hard worker and you're going to outwork everybody else, that you care, you have genuine gratitude and thanks, and then you're going to pour that back into the community. You think that they're not going to refer your people? Of course they're going to refer you people.
Of course. Yeah.
You're a model for them and an inspiration and a role model too. So of course they know that for us, your dog's going to be in great hands. They know that the processes are set in place, that your dog's going to be very well taken care of, that you're going to email pictures to the clients twice a week and a boatload of them to boot, and all the things that you need. And so I find that the grassroots organic way of building very successful businesses is going to be by word of mouth. There's this famous ship maker, ship architect that designs yachts all the way up to 192 meters, which are pretty big yachts. They're probably mini cruise ships. And he had an interview. It's on Netflix right now. He had an interview, and he said he has never advertised. So the people that are coming to him are strictly by word of mouth. Amazing. What an amazing thing to celebrate, that you've built a reputation so powerful that you have a long list of the highest net worth people around the world wanting to have you design the yacht for them.
Yes.
And I think that all of that comes from relationships, treating the people the right way, building good friendships with them. Of course, they're going to pour back into you.
Yeah, I love all of that. I spend a lot of my time connecting people and building relationships and sending text messages. I thought of
that can be part of your work, right?
Yes.
So So that's part of the workday that people don't think about. They think, I need to just work on this widget. What they should think is, let's allocate some time to explore other opportunities through a lunch. You and I have coffee all the time, things like that, to really build those relationships.
Right. Well, and I don't always, I don't hardly ever show up with an expectation. Sometimes I just say, let the conversation go where it's meant to go.
Sure.
And I think that, and how can I be of service? How can I be a blessing to the person that I'm sitting with today? How can I be a person who is part of the increase in their life, right? How can I help them to feel better because they had contact with me? And then I don't think it's a surprise then that all the time people will say, how can I help you? Or what can I do for you? Or what, do you have time to do a project right now or something like that? So thank you for talking that through with me. One, in the beginning of your book, you talk about the 3 lies. And I don't want to miss those because I think they're so important. We've talked about the pillars, but you identified 3 lies that we're told when in life, right? And they definitely affect entrepreneurship. So lie number 1 is, this is going to be easy.
Yeah. So entrepreneurs, I would argue, I know there's counter arguments to this, I would argue is the toughest profession ever created. Mm-hmm. With so much burden put on your shoulders to make sure that your employees are well taken care of, your clients are well taken care of. It's just a weight that most people don't carry, right? Like, you could think about a profession that is maybe not looked the best on, whatever that may be, and nothing would still compare to being an entrepreneur. Every day you wake up, you put your warrior paint on, you grab your Captain America shield, and you're going to battle because you're facing your competitors, grumpy clients, employees that have personal issues in their life. It is just a nonstop. And on top of that, you're worrying about, well, now I got to go build these relationships. I got to bring more clients in. I got to provide them with a fantastic product. It's just a lot to juggle. And so, the lie is that it's going to be easy. Now, the reward for doing a fantastic job with all that is you're going to be compensated so much more than anything you do in the corporate world. So much more. Unless you're a C-suite executive, that would be the only way in the corporate world that you're going to be able to make the amount of money that entrepreneurs do. You see it all the time. These news releases in the business journals across the nation, on every financial network, Bloomberg and things like that, where somebody develops a software and sells it for a 20 to 60 time multiple.
Yep.
So they had this vision of, let me code, let me get a group of coders together, let me pay them to help me with this idea, let me launch it. Let's hope that the universe loves this product as much as I keep thinking it's going to go. And then boom, they become a billionaire, or they become 100 millionaire, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I can assure you, the sleepless nights of them thinking, oh my goodness, am I doing the right thing? Are people going to even like this product?
Yep.
I'm running out of cash to pay these employees. There's always those points of, I might just give up, but if I push a little bit longer, maybe something works out for me. And that's the lie to tell yourself it's going to be easy, because it's not. It's going to be hard. But where there's reward, there has to be risk. Yep. There is no way of receiving a reward without risk.
Well, and anyone who is successful, you think they just were plopped on the top of a hill by you in one of your helicopters, right? Like I just took a helicopter and landed on the top of the mountain, when in fact, the mountain is cold and there are snowstorms and you might not have the right gloves. And it's just a challenge and so if you know that it's going to be challenging and you wake up and you say every day is could be my best day or it could be my worst day. And so I'm just going to stay as even keel as possible. You're going to fare better and listening to people like you and reading books like yours that are going to keep it in context. Because you write in this very short book about some of your challenges. Obviously, they weren't all in here and not in detail, but we got enough of, getting the dogs stuff in your mouth when you're cleaning up after them with the hose and everything. You get enough of that was pretty awful, to realize
2:30 in the morning
that you weren't always riding around with the top down in your Ferrari with your beautiful wife and your kids and eating ice cream cones, right? That's the result of all of those years of putting in that time. And it's very easy to give up. It's much harder to keep going, but the result is absolutely worth it. We are just 5 minutes away from being done already. So I want to cover these other 2 lies. Lie number 2, school is going to teach you everything you need to know.
So this is a contentious topic because my wife is an educator and she has a doctorate in education. And, I'm educated. I went to the University of Tennessee. But I think that school does a really good job of you being able to understand how to balance social life with tasks. But outside of that, going to like a college or university to become an expert in something is probably unrealistic. It's not going to teach you how to become an entrepreneur. It's not going to teach you how to be a good business person. It's going to give you some basics to understand. And then you're going to then take those basics and you're going to fall on your face 1,000 trillion times. And then you're going to develop yourself into being that good business person or entrepreneur. Understanding the basics of accounting with a P&L or a balance sheet, that happens in university or college. But, getting customers to come to you doesn't really happen in college.
Yep.
And understanding, well, I have X amount of money and how do I optimize that to get the most reach doesn't happen in college or university. So it's not that I'm against the education system. I think that there's a big learning curve afterwards. And if the United States education system would be more focused for specific trades, like if you want to be a physician, why not just go straight into going into med school? Why are we wasting everybody's time with 4 years of, studying about liberal arts and, sociology and things like that are really not that relevant? Maybe a year of that, but why are we doing 4 years, then putting them through the grind of another 4 years? And I get it, it's the weed out period, but it's just a waste of time in my book. Same thing for lawyers. If you want to be a lawyer, why not put them straight into law school? Why are we wasting their time putting them through math and
Right.
higher levels of math? These other chemistry and irrelevant subjects, unless they're going to go be like a patent attorney in chemistry, it doesn't really make sense. And that's my issue with that part.
As entrepreneurs, we would run the education system completely different.
100%.
If we were in charge, which we are not. Right.
I think that it was originally created to make laborers, and they do a really good job. There's this giant sign right now outside of the University of Tennessee that says people that graduate from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville come out averaging $55,000 a year, which some people are like, wow, that's great. But tuition there is $17,000 a year. Right? So you're going to come out with almost $80,000 in debt, and then you're going to be making $55,000. It's just a crazy system.
The math isn't mathing.
It's not.
The math is not mathing. Yes. All right. So lie number 3, which I think is my favorite. Your destiny is already determined.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think that you can change your mind and how the mind is wired. You're a night owl, you can make yourself a morning person. I was a night owl. And, I had to retrain myself to waking up early in the morning. And so you can do anything that you want to do in life. You just got to control the drunk monkey in your brain. And the drunk monkey is the one who tells you when you take your shirt off, oh, I wish I could lose some weight. or I'm not good enough to do this or do that. Well, when you train that drunk monkey, you can go do whatever you want.
Right.
You get to set your destination. This is going to go against the Reformed Baptist side of my family who believes in predestination. But I think that you can genuinely train yourself and teach yourself to create your own path when it comes to business success.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that. And I can't believe that we are already at the hour. Thank you so much for coming on and having this dialogue with me. 2 quick questions, because we are at time and I want to be respectful of your time and those that are watching. But you said you have a speech that you have booked in Mexico. What are you speaking about? What do you speak about? And how can people hire you if they are inclined to do so?
So it is a mastermind group that's based out of here in Middle Tennessee, but a lot of the group members are from across the nation, and they're all entrepreneurs. And so they reached out to me, and I'm going to give them a speech on being an entrepreneur, encouraging them, giving them some maybe details that they haven't experienced yet, so that wisdom can help carry them further. And then breaking out in workshops, and there's a workshop that goes with the book too, right, Honoree?
That's right.
And so giving them that as well to map out their goals and how to accomplish them too. And, get a hold of me. Get a hold of me on LinkedIn. I'd be glad to come and speak for you. Get a hold of me through our businesses. Any of them will end up funneling back to me.
Yep.
But I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm pretty visible. And I'm responsive, which is.
And you're responsive. So your website is Nashville K9?
NashvilleK9.com. You go to HemyariCompanies.com. Either of those, you can hit the contact us page and it'll ping to me. And I'd love to be an inspiration to your organization.
Well, I did tell you the first time I met you that you had what all professional speakers want. Do you remember what I said that was?
Authenticity?
A private jet. The ability to avoid commercial air travel.
It is one of the pluses in life, right? To be able to, especially with children, man, they will stress you out on a commercial flight. So it is good for them to have the run of the plane to be able to do whatever they want.
Yes. Well, I learned something every time I talk to you. I'm blessed to know you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for making my life better and coming on today and talking to the audience. Ali Hemyari, everyone, NashvilleK9.com. The book is Discipline, What It Really Takes to Build a 7-Figure Business, available everywhere books are sold. I'll leave a note in the comments below, so you'll be able to just click it and buy it. It'll be probably 90 of the most powerful reading minutes you'll ever have, and you'll want to go back and read it again and again. And if you don't believe me, just read the reviews that Ali has accumulated for this book in just the couple of months since it's been out. So Ali, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you very soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me, Honoree. You're just the best. One of the best champions I've met so far in life. So means a lot.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.